It is the middle of July. And guess what? We have weather that you usually have in the middle of July. And guess what? It's going to continue for another couple of days, or maybe longer. We'll see. We will talk about all of this. Take a look at that system that's crossing Florida into the Gulf of the Whatchamacallit. All of that coming up tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which you can support if you'd like. Are you okay
Excuse
over
me.
there?
Yes, I'm all right.
Okay.
I was
Did you
reaching for the
do you
mute button,
do
but
you
I
need
didn't
a
get there in time.
do you need a tissue or did you use your shirt?
No, it just went flying through the air with the greatest of ease.
Civis. Yes, okay. Anyway, on that note, if you'd like to support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, you can do so by doing your Amazon shopping by using our referral link. It's pinned to the top of the chat board. It's on the descriptor to this podcast. It doesn't cost you anything if you're shopping on Amazon. Just use our link so that Amazon throws us back a little bit of coin for sending you there. And it's an easy way not only to support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, but it keeps the live stream commercial free, except for this. And except for this. Tempest by Weatherflow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link for this and the Amazon link are also found on the descriptor to this podcast on YouTube underneath the title of this show. So use the coupon code if you do decide to make any purchases from there. Use the coupon code Summer 2025. If you do, you will get
10 big percent off. Yes,
yes. So,
yes.
Mr. Rayo, um, I don't know what all the commotion about was from yesterday. I mean, it was just a little drizzle, for God's sake.
All right. Well, if your impression of a little drizzle is to drop 2 to 3
No, I
inches
know.
of rain,
I'm being facetious, clearly.
yes,
Especially since it turned out that at least for New York City, they had 2 inches of rain in an hour, and apparently that's the second ranks number two in rainfall rates per hour behind Ida a couple of years ago. The flooding was extensive. I did see it. I did see the videos of it.
it was quite an afternoon and evening, and many places, not just in the Hudson Valley, but also down in New Jersey, got battered with a lot of rain. And as you mentioned, Joe, and I posted this on my Facebook page from Rob Friedelwitz, who seems to know everything about New York City climatology, and he said this was the worst downpour, or maybe I should say drownpour, at Central Park going back to Ida. So this was one heck of a storm, but in contrast, today was quite a bit different. We had during the midday and afternoon here locally blue skies and bright sun. Maybe I verging almost on what you would call a tropical sky.
Right.
There was a pretty ample amount of humidity, but I must tell you that it didn't feel quite as bad today
Well, the
as
rain,
compared to other days.
the one upside from yesterday when something like that usually happens is that it kind of washes the moisture out of the atmosphere. It had to use something. Those 70 to 75 degree dew points, they pretty much, they were among the several catalysts at play. So when you use up all that moisture, it does tend to get a little drier, the next day.
And I'm not sure what the dew point was at Central Park. I actually think it was a few points lower. And this is what we were talking about yesterday also, that when we get to the weekend, and by the way, the weekend, Saturday, looks like now we may actually see dew points drop briefly into the upper 50s. So of this upcoming weekend, Saturday looks by far to be the best. Even now, Friday is looking not too bad in terms of the comfort department, but unfortunately, the humidity and the heat is going to try to make a rapid comeback on Sunday, and in the process, it may actually cause Sunday to be kind of a showery kind of day. But Saturday again looks to be the best day of the lot.
Now, just looking back a few hours, I'll just take, the dew points right now are all in the low 70s. Yeah, they actually were in the low 70s pretty much all day long. So I mean, they didn't really correct that much. I guess just psychologically, I mean, it was cooler today in the temperature department, which I think helped.
I think, yeah, I would agree. It felt a little better as opposed to, what you would normally expect or what we have been experiencing over the last week or 10 days. Not a great day, but better.
Right. Well, I do notice, by the way, that flood watches are back up again for northern New Jersey, at least so far. That's the only area in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England that is under a flood watch for tomorrow. I think part of that has to do with the fact that the ground is, pretty much soaked. I mean, I can't imagine the threshold for causing some flooding is not going to be all that high. For on the one hand, um,
But there
while
are heat, but there are now heat advisories that have been posted in,
yes,
all the places that had flood watches and advisories yesterday now have been replaced by heat advisories for the next day, or two.
right. And we are going to see 90-degree readings, but yeah, there is going to be a little bit of there's going to be some decent dew point relief for a little while over the weekend. Nice high and air coming down from the north.
And that will make it feel oh so much better. And one person who in particular is happy about that is Mrs. Rayo, who is putting on her big German fest at the Putnam Valley German Social Club. And I'll talk more about that a bit later in the week. But the one thing you don't want to have during one of these outdoor extravaganzas is bad weather. And again, it looks like some of the nicer conditions that we've seen weather-wise will be arriving just in time for the fest, and just in time for those of you who are attending to hoist a mug of beer, perhaps, or a stein of beer on Saturday. Yes, it is a German fest, and yes, they will be selling beer on Saturday too.
I had some I had thunderstorms all around me this afternoon and into early evening. And I could hear I could see the threatening skies, I could hear the thunder, but I never saw a drop of rain out of it. It's just the nature of when you live in the mountains. Somebody got clobbered near me, but I just don't know who. I'll find out tomorrow when I go talk to my friends at the dog park in the morning because they're all from various parts of town. So we all always discuss the day after a big weather event. It is the topic of discussion. We compare precipitation amounts, whose rain gauge got the most, whose rain gauge got the least, whose rain gauge is broken, whose rain gauge has been eaten up by a deer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We do have some flash flooding going on tonight across parts of Virginia. There's a um, it's not like what we saw yesterday with a whole bunch of counties together getting flash flooding over a continuous large geographic area. These are, more, I don't want to call them scattered in nature because they're maybe a little bit more than scattered, but nonetheless, it's a county here, a county there, a couple of more counties in another spot, but they seem to be concentrated tonight in Virginia. There's not much in terms of convection going on the radars locally, but we'll get to that in a second. Um, by the way, I think the dishonest headline of the day award goes to Newsweek because they had a story today that caught my attention because it says um, uh, uh, the Hurricane Center increases chances for Tropical Storm Dexter to form by quadruples. I mean, they use the word quadruple. Um, that NHC quadrupled the chances for Tropical Storm Dexter to form. And when you read the headline, the way it was literally reading, if you're not if you're not into weather, I knew immediately what they were talking about. But if you're not into weather, you would be like, "Oh my God, this is going to be huge." And it was because the Hurricane Center had a 10% chance, right, for tropical storm development yesterday, and then they updated their forecast yesterday evening and raised it to 40%. So there's your quadrupling from
Yes.
10% to 40%. I mean, can we? I just shake my head with this stuff because it's really gotten to a point where my
It's a
head wants
slow news day, I guess
slow
it is,
news
Michelle.
day, but they write this stuff. It makes your head, if you have to read it for a while, you don't even want to walk out the door of your house, or for that matter, you don't even want to stay in your house because you're in fear that it's going to collapse or explode. I mean, for God's sake, am I right or wrong? And did
You're
they, by the
right.
way, did they throw anybody under the bus in New York
Eh,
that you saw?
No,
No one
no,
was thrown under the bus.
no.
Okay, nobody said that they didn't know this was coming. Just checking.
I mean, the great. I'm sure you remember being in
Yeah, I
television news,
know.
especially. In television news, they would look at us, so they would say like that. Is there anything that we can, you know,
The
go
people
big
you
on?
worked with that you told them the day before something was going to happen, or walk around pretending like you never said anything.
Right, right.
It's so ridiculous. Anyway, my head is not going to explode. It's in good shape. I made a new flower bed today. I'm happy. Welcome to everybody tonight on the chat board, and welcome to those of you who are lurking in the background on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. We're here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35. We're off Fridays and Saturdays unless there's a storm around, in which case we will let you know about it. Of course, if you do subscribe to my YouTube channel, which I think you should, turn your notifications on so you don't miss us. And of course, if you do like the show, by all means, hit the like button. Don't forget, you can also watch the Joe and Joe, watch or listen to the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast on uh, on most podcast outlets, including Spotify. So we are on Spotify as well. Can't watch the live show on Spotify, but you can certainly watch and listen to the replay there. Okay, are we ready to go tonight?
I think we are. It is 7:46, and we've been jabbering away for 11 minutes now, so we might as well commence
Yeah,
with the show
okay.
and also start showing graphics and visuals that pertain to the science of weather.
Well, we have, as you said, heat advisories and various air quality alerts in most of the Northeast. And the first flood watches are now up for northern New Jersey for tomorrow. We have flood watches also up for the southern half of the Delmarva Peninsula and all of Virginia, most of Virginia except the western part. And if you look on the map close enough and watching this on a big screen, you might see some red boxes in there filled in. Those are counties that are currently under flash flood warnings. Heat advisories also in parts of Alabama, Mississippi, East Arkansas, Louisiana, Gulf Coast. We've got flood watches up for parts of southern Louisiana. They've got flood watches up again for that area in central Texas, where Kerr County had the horrific, catastrophic flooding. Flood watches up in southeastern Arizona. Severe thunderstorm watches up and a few warnings in central Nebraska and into southeast South Dakota. And also, we have severe thunderstorm watches up in a small portion of east central Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and into the UP of Michigan. We have a severe thunderstorm watch covering much of central Wyoming, and we have various heat advisories up for some places, for counties in Nevada, some counties in California, and some counties also in Oregon. And as we take a look at the satellite loop, much different from yesterday when it was loaded. Everything is suppressed a bit to the south, so you can see where the thunderstorms are going on tonight in Virginia and North Carolina. There were a few in Georgia. You see the lightning strikes there. And you also could see some thunderstorms moving through northeast Arkansas into southeast Missouri and southern Illinois and southern Indiana, and even a few lightning strikes going on in parts of Kentucky. And then you see the two lines from the UP of Michigan back to central Minnesota and across another line that's forming in southeastern South Dakota, extending down into Nebraska. Meanwhile, let me just highlight what's. Oh, wow, that was easy. It was the last circle I drew the last time I used the graphic, the paint mode, and it fits perfectly. There's the disturbance, and you can kind of see that there's some kind of upper air circulation of some sort in a broad sense in how the clouds are turning. But you can also see the balled up area of clouds that's in northern Florida and coming out into the northeast Gulf of Mexico. And there is convection there and some thunderstorms. Clearly, this is not anything very well organized. But the other thing I want to point out, Joe, is the fact that if you look where this is in terms of a surface low, it's kind of, it looks like it's probably going to straddle the Gulf, the coastline there along the Gulf Coast. And I mentioned yesterday that it was kind of odd that except for the icon, none of the other models really were doing anything with this. And given what was going on at the upper air, and I still have my doubts that this won't get much beyond a maybe it gets to a tropical depression, maybe even a minimal tropical storm. I don't think that this is a setup that goes beyond that.
Well, the news media hungry to talk about potential
Anything.
cataclysms, whatever. They'll probably be hoping that this becomes a tropical system, so this way they can talk about something other than politics and wherever else they've been talking about for the past few weeks around here.
Well, let's see what NHC is talking about and see what they're saying here, because we should have the 8 o'clock discussion, and we do, and it's still at 40%. The um, It's AL 93, Atlantic 93. Satellite and radar data indicate that the low pressure area moving across northern Florida continues to produce disorganized shower and thunderstorm activity, mainly to the south and southwest of the center. This system is forecast to move west and it could emerge over the far northeastern and north central Gulf, possibly approaching the coast of Louisiana on Thursday. Environmental conditions over the Gulf appear generally favorable for additional development, and a tropical depression could form if the system moves far enough offshore over the next couple of days. And you can see where the X is. There's not a whole lot of room here. The other thing we could take a look at is we can take a look at some of the guidance here with this, and this is the 18Z, the hurricane track model guidance. And if you look at how they have it drawn, I mean, except for one model that kind of takes it southwestward, which is really weird, but the rest of it actually keep whatever they regard as some sort of a center. Just about all of them have it over land, moving over the Florida peninsula. Then it briefly emerges and it comes out into the Gulf in that gap between the Florida peninsula and southeast Louisiana. And then it continues westward and then eventually goes west or west northwest into Louisiana within 72 hours from now, for the most part. Now, again, if you follow those tracks, it's going to be awfully hard, with the center that's barely exposed to the open waters. If it gets in that little zone there, maybe you could wind up seeing it get to tropical depression or even minimal tropical storm strength. But as I said, it to me, it's a really tough sell.
Well, it's a tough sell if you're trying to push for a tropical storm or even a hurricane. But basically, what you see is what you're going to get: a storm that's going to stay relatively close to the coastal plain of the Panhandle of Florida and on through the coastlines of Alabama and Mississippi and Louisiana, and then making the turn. The next question is after all of that is done is when are they going to start alluding to the fact that somebody in the mid-Atlantic or Northeast is going to get heavy tropical rains from the remnants of whatever it is that this turns out to be.
Well, we're going to just have to see how what does it look like on the radars when they move westward, with regards to a concentrated area of thunderstorms and whether that holds together or not. If you look at the intensity guidance, only one model actually briefly makes it a tropical storm before it goes below tropical storm strength. Most of this have this, basically between 25 and 35 knots. So, it's not like you've got models that are taking this up to anything beyond that. And No, I stand by what I said with respect to where this is all going to go. By the way, if you're plotting a surface map at 2 o'clock this afternoon, the low center is, I mean, very close to Jacksonville, or it's just south of Jacksonville, St. Augustine. You see where the L is, and you just look at the wind fields. You got southwest winds across southern Florida. You got southerly winds along the east coast of Florida, and then you got southeast and east winds in South Georgia, and then northeast as you go into southwest Georgia and into northern Florida. So there is some kind of broad low-level circulation here. It'll be a matter of, what can it do once it gets, what does it do if it takes a track straight west and kind of straddles that landmass in Florida, and then once it passes Apalachicola, it may, on a 270 course, it may emerge into the Gulf of Mexico. So we'll see. We'll see where this takes us. It'll be a little something to talk about, but again, not looking at anything major. Here's the radars tonight. You see those, as I said earlier, these counties in Virginia. I guess you can call it scattered, with the scattered flash flood warnings. Also into north central North Carolina. You see the rain that's moving off the off the Florida Big Bend, and also in the Panhandle that's moving westward with that low. You can also see these storms here in Tennessee, in Kentucky, southern Illinois, and southern Indiana. Numerous severe thunderstorm warnings are out right now in a line of storms in South Dakota down into Nebraska. And we've got strong thunderstorms with some flash flood warnings up in northern Wisconsin as that area moves to the east. And we've got showery rains and some thunderstorms across Montana, Wyoming, into Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, and actually a pretty strong line. You don't see this too often. There's a nice looking line there in northeastern Nevada. When I say nice looking, I mean that it's meteorologically impressive. It's not like it's, wearing a pretty dress or something. So there you go. And even into southern Utah. Storm Prediction Center for tonight. We do have, as I said earlier, we have those watches that are up in the upper Midwest and the plains. You could see other slight risk areas back in Wyoming and in northern Utah, also in southern Arizona. Not a whole lot in the east. I mean, nothing in the northeast and northern mid-Atlantic. Just general thunderstorm activity from southern Maryland and Virginia on southward and then westward across the Gulf states. Again, with a small exception there, northern Louisiana, central Mississippi, and northwest Alabama. Tomorrow, it's marginal risk from Colorado and Wyoming, and on the east side, it's western New York, all of Pennsylvania, just about all of Pennsylvania, Maryland, northern Virginia, and West Virginia. Slight risks for severe weather in Wisconsin and northern Illinois, also in Colorado into Wyoming and parts of southwest Nebraska. And on day 3, which is Thursday, Joe, they have a marginal risk for isolated severe thunderstorms across Ohio, Pennsylvania, a good chunk of New Jersey, except the southeast and the coast, from New York City northward, most of New England, except the immediate coast of New England. Long Island is out of it. Coastal New Jersey is out of it. But they do have it mentioned for a marginal risk on Thursday.
And that's going to be affiliated with a front that probably will work its way through here early on Friday. And it looks like Friday, Joe, could be the kind of a day where it starts out rather humid and somewhat cloudy, but could actually slowly but surely clear out, dry out, and see the humidity slowly drop during the afternoon hours on Friday, continue into Friday night, and setting the stage for, again, a really nice day on Saturday. Unfortunately, it does not look like we're going to be able to extend that into Sunday, because I think on Sunday, the same front that comes through on Friday will begin bouncing back north as a warm front and setting the stage for a return to showers and humidity for the second half of the weekend on Sunday.
You can see where WPC's got the flood risks, the flash flood risks, excessive rainfall outlook, a moderate risk in a small area in southeast Virginia, slight risk from Virginia south and west into northeast Georgia, and there's nothing on the radar over me, and I don't think there's going to be anything overnight. Slight risks in the northern plains to the upper Midwest, slight risks in central Texas, and also in southeastern portions of Arizona. Tomorrow, WPC has a slight risk touching western New Jersey, just about all of Pennsylvania, eastern Ohio, the northern half of West Virginia, western and central Maryland. Marginal risks surrounds that. And then we've got another slight risk area from Kansas, northern Missouri, and then it kind of swings northeastward up through northwestern Illinois, eastern Iowa, and southern Minnesota. A marginal risk also along the Gulf Coast from Louisiana back to western Florida from that semi-tropical system. And then for Thursday, we have a marginal risk in upstate New York and in central and northern New England that cuts across the Ohio Valley and the middle Mississippi Valley all the way back into the southwest. And we have a slight risk for flash flooding in southern Louisiana and a marginal risk just to the north of that that covers the Gulf Coast and western Florida. What did you think about tomorrow in terms of thunderstorm activity?
I mentioned the possibility late to in the day. Um, I said that much of the day should be dry, but perhaps late tomorrow, toward evening, maybe like 6, 7 o'clock, there might be, and this would probably be mostly for places north and west of New York City, a shower or thunderstorm popping up. There'll be a better chance for showery and thundery weather entering the picture sometime during the overnight hours tomorrow night, and then it will be an ongoing risk on Thursday, and especially so in the afternoon or evening Thursday for maybe a locally gusty thunderstorm.
Yeah, a little high builds in on Friday. Just looking ahead, with the European, you can see what gels up tomorrow in parts of New Jersey and points south and west. Not overly impressive on that. And then there's stuff around on Thursday because you got this front that's approaching. Meanwhile, if you look down in the Gulf Coast, you can see the European really doesn't do much of anything with this. It's just got an area of thunderstorms, a little blob of thunderstorms that comes and goes, and then finds its way into southeast Louisiana Thursday morning, and then it's just kind of all but gone by the time we get to Friday. It lifts up northward. Meanwhile, we do have a little bit of a dry high there on Thursday, and you see that high in North Dakota there, that 1021 high. Uh, it weakens a little bit, but there seems to be enough of it to push in some drier air. And also, if you look at the isobars during the day on Friday, they're turning northwesterly, which normally would be a drying wind. And depending on how much sunshine you get, it could also be a hot day before slightly cooler air comes in for Saturday and for Sunday. And then, of course, the European is also bringing showers and storms back by Sunday morning. As you said, cold front goes by, then comes back as a warm front, and it's certainly doing that. And it shows showery rains and thunderstorms on and off all day Sunday, as far as the weekend is concerned.
Yeah, that's why I think that the 2 weekend days, by far the better of the two, will be Saturday. Unfortunately, that front, which will bring the noticeable drop in the humidity and dew point temperatures later Friday into Saturday, unfortunately, that's going to come bouncing back as a warm front during Sunday and probably set the stage for some showery rains on Sunday and higher levels of humidity.
Yeah, let's see. Any surprises going forward after Sunday? There's another high that builds in eastern Canada. So we get, a bit more of a, northeast wind or light northeast wind and some showers and storms lying just to our south. Then, another front comes back through on Tuesday. Doesn't look like anything too eventful next week. In fact, if I look through most of the country, it actually looks rather quiet for the second half of the month of July, other than the usual daytime stuff. I mean, there's a front here and a front there, but nothing major and nothing, no big consequences with regards to this. And the model's not picking up on any storm development as far as I can see, any tropical storm development as far as I
Yeah,
can see.
yeah. So we'll see what takes place, but I don't think we're going to be going into a long range or long protracted spell of heat and humidity because I think we're going to start seeing the pattern start moving a little bit more, becoming more progressive and bringing in more air masses, excuse me, more air masses from Canada beginning this weekend and continuing through much of next week. And I think the by the end of next week, I'm talking about the weekend of the 25th and 26th, we might actually see a truly Canadian air mass trying to work its way down and into the northeastern United States. So, I saw somebody on the chat board saying, "Boy, I hope it's not going to be this way all through August." I really don't think so. I think we'll be seeing a trend back to more rapid, more progressive type of weather pattern, and starting to bring in some of those drier and cooler and less humid air masses from Canada as we move into the new month of August. Even though we're only halfway through July, yours truly is already looking ahead to the next month of
Well,
August.
look, we're halfway through July, which means of the three warmest months of the year, we're halfway through. We're halfway through the meteorological summer.
Right.
Actually, tomorrow's halfway day at 12 o'clock. So
And I
there you
noticed that I noticed that on the chat board, some have been counting down or counting up, depending upon your viewpoint, the days, the evenings, the times of sunset now are backing up now, back into the 8:24 or
right.
8:23 range from like 8:30. So some people on the chat board, a few of people are already looking forward to the fact that days are getting shorter, and that who knows, we'll start seeing somewhat cooler conditions in the days and weeks to come.
All right, let's do a little bit of Briller Jeopardy. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
Average highs in July. We begin with Oklahoma City.
How about 90?
How about 90? 90 is a nice number. It's a round number. It's got a zero at the end of it. I've always liked the number 9, but it's incorrect. Alan Rupa, the first person to post a number tonight, and it's the correct one, 93.
Alan,
93.
Alan, this bell ring is for you. Congratulations on getting the first one tonight.
Next on the list is Orlando, Florida.
Orlando, how about 88?
88 is an interesting number. Um, it's in Italian. If you called out the number 88, it used to mean the mouse who wore glasses. But it is not the correct answer for Orlando. And looking at the chat board, William Uber and Latex Dreams and Rich Rothmansky at 92, Joe, 92.
I didn't think quite it was, for Orlando, I would have thought it was going to be a few degrees cooler than that. I thought that, the places along the west coast of Florida is the hot region where temperatures in July would be like above 90. I didn't realize that it could get that hot in Orlando. So shame on me.
Yeah. Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, how about 87?
87 is a very good guess. It's an incorrect guess, but it's a very good guess. And Mike Waterhouse Bonsai and James Davison and Latex Dreams and Harold Olson and Frank R. and Rich Rothmansky and all the saints who have done your will throughout the ages. 88, Joe. 88.
80, 88. By the way, if you're a ham radio operator, I don't know how many of you out there on the chat board, especially, have an amateur radio license, but 88, when you either use Morse code for that or when you tell somebody on the air 88 to you, that means love and kisses, believe it or not.
Oh, okay. All right, next on the list is Phoenix.
Oh, God. Phoenix?
Phoenix.
Phoenix. How about 103?
Well, you were right to go over 100, and 103 is an acceptable guess, but it's not low enough. It's not high enough. Um, Almost right off the bat again. Well, you got the chat board's hot today. James Davidson and William Uber, 107, Joe, 107.
Can you imagine? I don't think I could survive in a place that has 107 degrees for a daily average high temperature. But
Uh,
again, with the dew points probably down in the 40s, it's a dry heat, isn't it?
it is. And Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And what did I say for Philadelphia?
88.
88. Pittsburgh, I'll say 87.
Well, you were correct in using the logic of going lower. However, you did not go low enough. And I'm not seeing anybody yet on the chat board throwing up numbers in the upper 80s to near 90. No, that's too high. So you need to go lower. And Alan Rupa is very close at 82. And David Fuller gets it at 83. 83.
Congratulations, David. There's your bell ring for that.
Finally, tonight on the bonus, you can always scale Mount Washington if you want to make sure if you're really in the mood to wear a jacket this time of year. The average high for Mount Washington.
Okay. Hang on for a second. I'm going by. I'm using like a dry adiabatic lapse rate.
Oh, Jesus.
I'll say 63.
Okay, well, you're too high. I got to give credit, though, to James Davidson, Mike Waterhouse Bonsai, 50 double nickels is very close. And Rich Rothmansky gets it at 54. 54. Paul Roman went with 54 also. So not as cool as cooler than you thought there.
Yeah, well, they're 6,300 feet up, I believe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so
you
that
go
would
like
make sense.
3.5 degrees per every 1,000 feet.
Hmm.
And I subtracted. I should have used a lower base number. That's all.
What number did you use?
I used I figured Boston's not too far away, like 83, 84.
Okay. Well,
So,
no, not low enough. All right, I guess we can wrap it up because I really don't have much else to say. Whatever I said, I already said it. You got anything to add?
yeah, the meaningless All Star game is being played now.
Okay.
I say it's meaningless because it used to be in the good old days, the guys who started the game stayed in the game all through the game, but now like Aaron Judge, he'll probably play like 3 innings and they'll take him out and put somebody else in. It's
Right.
something ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not watching it. I'm just
They're
going to.
playing. They're playing just a stone's throw from you, Joe. They're in
Yeah,
they're in
they're in
Atlanta, I
Atlanta.
believe.
Yeah.
So
No, I am going to walk my dog, and then I'm going to watch a little bit of Perry, and then I'm going to go to bed. So on that note, actually, let me just see something. One thing, because I have to. I want to. I got to show this off. Hold on. So I have this hydrangea in the front of my house. So if you follow me on Facebook or even on Twitter, I put it on Twitter. But this hydrangea this year, Joe, is so out of control, and I mean it in a good way. The flowers on it are just utterly enormous. I've never ever seen anything quite like this. But they're just, they've just really out. It really has outdone itself. Here's a view where you can see the front steps, and this is the side of my house, and this is what it looks like if you're standing, face front. I mean, some of those flowers from the base stem of the flower to the tip are like nearly 12 inches long.
wow.
I mean, they're huge in terms of the volume of the flowers, in terms of the width of it. So this is my pride and joy, folks. I love my gardening, and my hydrangea is um, just absolutely amazing, and I'm a happy camper about it. So,
And for your hydrangea efforts, Brandon Doherty has hit the tip jar. So thank you,
thank you,
Brandon.
Brandon Doherty. Most appreciated as always. Okay, so we'll wrap it up. Say goodnight, and we will see every Tyler Fegg. It's you can see it goes up through to the roof. Okay, so I don't know. It's like 10, 11 feet 12 feet, 12 feet, at least 12 feet at the highest point, maybe even a little bit higher. All right, we're going to go say goodnight, and we'll see everybody tomorrow night at 7:35 p.m. Ta ta.
Right. Ta ta, folks. Good night.